Eastern, right here on CRN Digital Talk.
Welcome back. You're listening to the Cindy Laverty Show. We're coming into our last segment. Sadly, I got to have Steve Truitt back. Steve, thanks for being here.
That went fast. Thank you.
Okay, so people can find you where?
Well, usually I'm hanging out at Starbucks in Manhattan Beach, California. But if I'm not there, you can go to stevetruittcoaching.com.
Yes.
I have a new blog called Know Yourself, Don't Know Yourself, which is stevetruitt.blogspot.com.
stevetruitt.blogspot.com. Okay.
And I tweet regularly.
Yes, you do.
You can find me at Steve Truitt on Twitter.
You don't tweet that regularly. You're
for me,
getting
it's regularly.
better.
I'm getting better, but for me, it's regularly. If I do it once a day, that's pretty regular.
But you can find him on Twitter at Steve Truitt. It's at Steve Truitt. So
Easy.
There you go.
Yeah.
And you can find me at Cindy Laverty. So Steve and I will be tweeting back and forth to each other. You can follow that conversation. Okay. In the few minutes that we have left, let's sort of pull this together, because hopefully somebody is going to call you and say, I need coaching and I need help, and but maybe somebody can't afford to do that, but they also want to take action.
Sure. Number one, I'm very affordable. Number two, I do coach over the phone. And number three, don't call me unless you're ready for a change, because you will get it.
Oh,
and
a
lot of people may not be ready for a change. They know they think they want it, but I always say to my clients, don't hire me unless you're actually ready to have your life change.
So you get into the nitty-gritty with people.
It gets dirty.
Yeah.
It gets ugly. It gets crazy.
It's uncomfortable.
It can be, sure.
Well, people don't make a change until they actually get uncomfortable, squeamish, fidget in their chair and go, this doesn't feel good.
Well, here's the thing. I run marathons, and I had a coach early on when I was running, and he'd say, okay, go run 7 miles today. And I'd be like, I don't want to. And he's like, then you're not running the marathon. Like, if you want to get what you want, you have to do the work for it.
Right.
And sometimes you got to say, okay, I'm going to get uncomfortable here. It's the only way you're going to change. Because change doesn't come when you're happy. It comes when you're miserable, when you're upset, when you need to shift it.
Right.
So if you're ready, then give me a call.
All right. So if somebody wants to someone's listening in the middle of the country and they want to start doing something now.
Sure.
Where do they begin?
Great question.
I mean, you have exercises in your book that people can start with.
Sure.
There's homework in here.
There certainly is. And again, it's a process. But I would say the first thing to do is shift your question. If your question is, why aren't I happy? Why don't I have what I want? If that's your question, if your question is focused on something you don't have, shift the question to, what is it going to take for me to have what I want? That small shift will get you started on a new path, and you can do it yourself, but it has to start with the way that you speak, the way that you think. It is evolving the conversation.
What we say matters. What we think matters, right?
Yeah, we were talking about if someone says, hey, how you doing? Well, I've got this thing on my back, or that's your conversation. You're a victim. You're never going to have a shift in your life. If you say, how am I doing? I'm doing good, and I'm working on changing. And if your question is, what is it going to take for me to have what I want? Then you can have what you want. But you got to ask that question instead of, why don't I have what I want? Stop being a victim.
And do you think you need to pay attention to these little voices that we all have in our head? Because we all have them. You can't, you shouldn't, Sometimes I have to ask my father to, graciously remove himself from the dialogue in my brain.
Yeah.
Not that he ever told me I couldn't, but I think there were just messages as a child that,
Yeah, I mean, they say, look, when you get hit by a truck, you either become the truck or the ambulance.
Right.
Okay, so who are you? Become the truck. Say to yourself, okay, I hear you, negative thoughts. Now get out of the way. It's time for me to move forward. I have my fears, but they don't have me. Just keep that in your mind. Yes, they're always going to be there, but they don't have to stop you.
Yeah, and what I do is, I acknowledge when I'm having these days, these moments, when they come
human.
in. I acknowledge. Sure. I respectfully ask them to go sit somewhere else and mind their own business and stay out of my way right now. I cannot believe that we are coming to the end of this show.
Crazy.
What a great honor to have you here. I really hope you'll come back.
I will.
Get Steve's book, Stop Waiting for Permission. Check him out on his website at stevetruittcoaching.com. I hope you have a great weekend. I'm going to be at Dolly Parton. I'll see you next week. You're listening to the Cindy Laverty Show. Until next time, take good care.